Hi, folks. Jim Clark here with the Dismas Diaries. I have the extreme pleasure to introduce to you an old buddy of mine, a young man who was in my youth ministry program years and years ago, a long time ago. And I thought the world of him then, and I think the world of him now. He's a great guy, and he's got a great story. And I hope you enjoy meeting and listening to Mark's story. Here he is now. Well, welcome back. Glad to have you with us again. This is Mark EV, a friend of mine from way back when I was in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. Yeah,
That's right.
gotta do it the right way, right? Welcome to the podcast, Mark.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure seeing you. It's a pleasure reconnecting with you, and I'm just so proud of the work that you're doing right now with the Dismas Diaries, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, I'm proud to see what you've become too. It's been a while since we've talked, and it's really a pleasure to keep up with you. Like you, I don't do a lot of social media at all, and what I do, I follow a few people, and I've been following your comings and goings, and your present situation very well, very much lately. I'm really impressed and proud with you. You're a married man now.
I am, yes. I always envisioned myself to be married at a young age with children at a young age, but God had different plans for me. Um,
Well, I got news for you. You're still young. So
So, so yeah, so me and my wife met at a later day, later in life. We both were taking care of family members and putting others first, and then we decided it was time to focus on ourselves. And we met on a dating app, and both swiped right, as they say, and met up
yeah,
shortly thereafter.
I've never quite been sure what swiping right means, but it's not the place for me to figure it out. So,
This means you like the profile,
okay,
and then if they swipe right, if both people swipe right, then you link up and you start talking.
nice. So
So
you
it,
guys started talking,
so we started
and
talking, and I knew she was pretty cool by the way that our interactions went online. So we exchanged numbers and we continued to talk, and we met up for coffee. And I said, "Yep, she's pretty cool. I got to see her again." And I knew. I think I think my 40th birthday party was like 3 months into our relationship, and I knew then I wanted to marry her. I knew right away. It was just, um, but anyway, so I did ask her to marry me about 6 months into our relationship, and she said, "F yeah."
I
I got it on
guess,
video.
I guess it was serious.
Um, but
Well, how now? The two of you are from different faith backgrounds. Is that correct?
that is correct. My wife grew up in Bosnia, where she was a non-practicing Muslim, and I grew up in the Catholic Church here in Boston, Massachusetts, High Park, as you say.
Right back, yeah,
And
which is where I knew you from.
so when we met, I was non-practicing, um, and I was going through this cycle of anxiety and depression, and it's been there all my life. I'm sure you saw it, back in my teenage years when you were in High Park, and so I just have this anxiety and this low self-esteem, and then it
I
turns into.
do, I do remember that. And if I might, I remember what was remarkable about it to me was you're one of the finest kids that I ever knew. I mean, you were really the outstanding um, example of what it meant to be just a good kid, teenager wise. Teenagers are teenagers, of course, and you'll find out even more as your child grows. But there was something special about the way that you interacted with younger people, and there was a beam coming from your face that was lighting up the room as you interacted with other kids. I told you, I particularly remember one time you were chasing a little kid around the basketball court with his, I think his parents were in the in the stands watching somebody else on his family play basketball up in the municipal building, Hyde Park. You just were having so much fun playing like the big. Of course, you're a big kid. You were like, how tall were you? 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", something like that.
I think that was my full adult height at 13 years old, 6'4". Yeah.
And so this little kid's running around in mock terror for the big kid chasing him, big older kid chasing him. And you were laughing, and he was laughing, and everyone who was watching was laughing. And I thought to myself, this has got to be the most beloved kid in Hyde Park. I hardly knew you at the time. The only one who seemed not to know it was you.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Thank you for saying that.
But that happens a lot. I mean, you've talked to other people who have anxiety kind of that seems to be common. I've talked to people who have anxiety and problems that way. They're not the ones who realize how beloved they are. They don't feel that way.
That's so
And,
true.
and I'm sorry to hear that because you were such a good kid. I was really, really impressed with you and the way that your interactions with me and other people were. So sorry
Yeah,
you had to go through that.
that's okay. Sometimes you gotta go through things, right? And I thought that God was not with me at those times, but he was right there by my side the whole time. And just come to recently find that out. But getting back to meeting my wife and the relationship developing in my cycle of anxiety and depression, I would push people away because I didn't want people to suffer with me. I didn't want them to experience those types of emotions and things. So I would push people away from me. And, as anybody who suffers from anxiety and depression knows, it's a very lonely feeling. And so I started to do that with my wife, my now wife. And I started to push her away a little bit. And I come to realize what I was doing. And I said, I'm sorry, this is just my natural tendency. If you wanna leave now because it can get bad. And very powerful statement by her. She said, I'm very sorry, but that's not your decision to make. And meaning, don't push me away. If I want to leave, I'll leave. But I'm deciding to stay. So get a little teary eyed just thinking about it because it was a very defining moment in my life. And I married her. We've been married for 4 years now. We just welcomed a child into this world, and to see her as a mother and to be a father myself. And he's the happiest, Jim. He's the happiest baby I've ever seen in my life. And that's it's a product of his environment, right? And
Yeah.
so
Well, I think you just hit on a couple of really important topics for me in terms I'd like to talk about. Is one is that whole part of your wife saying your now wife saying that's not your decision to make, it's mine, is was really defining for me in terms of when I heard it the first time was we're in relationship with the world and we don't get to determine how the world is going to react to us. That our perception of how the world feels about us and what the world feels about us are often two very different things, right?
right.
And I was discovering that with you. I didn't realize that you didn't feel positively about yourself because I certainly did. Everyone else I knew did. So that's kind of an eye opener for me. Another thing was the your talk. You're saying that you felt that God was distant, and then you felt that he was. You found at some point you found he was close by. And how did that happen? How did you feel that he was distant? Because the things that were going on with you and your cycle of depression and anxiety, was that the way you felt like he was distant, or
Yes, just because I was suffering so much, and I would always ask him to heal me, for lack of a better word, or saying, just take away my suffering, let me be at peace. And it would be I mean, it hasn't all been 100% bad, obviously. You know, there's good days, bad days, in between days. And I just felt that I was doing a lot of suffering, and I had done my share, and I was ready to live my life. And al- although I was living my life the whole time, but um, well, not recently, but a couple of years ago, I my nephew, well, my mother passed about 3 years ago, and
Sorry.
that's okay. You know, it's part of life. Um, we had a wonderful life. In life, she only wanted to see me happy and be a dad, and I can sit here today and tell you that I am both. And I stopped by her grave the other day, and I told her so, and it made me happy, and made I know it was making her happy. And I know she's sitting here right here with me right now. But she passed, and I felt this calling to just attend church again. So I started going to St. Anne's in Raynham with my father, who sings in the choir there. He's devout Catholic, and it just, I don't know, it just wasn't doing it for me. So my nephew, who's very special to me, Ryan McCarthy, he founded, he didn't find, he found a church called Grace Church in West Bridgewater. It's one of four, and they are doing some excellent work in helping people find Jesus, and you know, discovering God again. And I walked in there, and it wasn't like an instant return. It was like, okay, feeling it out. There's pastors there, but just go in, you feel like family. Um, you know, now I walk in there and I feel like a celebrity. I just walk in and I'm shaking hands and kissing and people and hugging people, and I'm getting off topic.
No, I think you're exactly on topic. There's a wonderful thing that happened. First of all, I think it would probably surprise you to find out that I was at a point very similar. That's what you described about asking God, please, to take away the pains that I was suffering, the difficulties that I was going through, and not feeling like my life was ever going to be what I hoped it would be. And I turned to him really in despair, which is a strong word, means that I had no hope at that point one night. I was really in despair, and I didn't want to do anything to hurt myself, but I was at the point where I didn't want to live like that anymore. I asked him in a moment to just please heal me, take the pain away, and take my life. And he did in a way that I didn't expect or understand, but I became, it was like the presence of Jesus, and I didn't even know it at the time. The presence of Jesus like was beckoning to me, and I suddenly realized that the feeling was so powerful when it overwhelmed, when I put it all together in my head, the feeling was so powerful that it sustained me for years and years and years. It sustains me even today, just to realize that he had been there all along, and I hadn't even noticed him. He'd been extending his hand to me, and I didn't even know it. And so when we recognize that that hand's there, all of a sudden that's like, I didn't realize, I didn't know. And it's kind of amazing to figure it out at the end and to feel good about not feeling bad about the past and not wanting to shut the door on it, but to recognize that we can go forward. That's okay. Wherever we've been, we're okay because we're comfortable now. We're right where we're supposed to be right now. And that's what I'm hearing in your stories, is like all of these things added up. The terrible sufferings often turn out to be the biggest blessings because we can
Mhm.
use them to help somebody else now. And hopefully that's what I want to do today is use the things that I've experienced in my life to reach out and show other people it's possible, that he is there. He's there through it. He's often offering us He's offering us the opportunity to use that for other people. Now, your other people now is your wife and your son.
Yes.
And how old is your son?
6 going on 7 months.
Good Lord. And he said he's a happy baby.
Very happy. Yes. He's laughing. Well, yesterday in church, he's laughing and singing along. Well, not singing along, but laughing and giggling and just smiling at everybody. And it's just it's a joy that I've never known before in my life.
That's a
Besides
wonderful thing. May you
besides
continue to enjoy it.
Yeah, besides meeting my wife, she's been an absolute blessing. We joke that she's heaven sent, and she jokes that I'm heaven sent because we were both, at a point in our lives where we didn't know if it was going to happen for us, and then all of a sudden we meet and we're parents.
Do you ever think about how that was that you met, and that this woman who has turned your life around, who has been the instrument of change in your life? I mean, the difference between the depression that you experienced before and the anxiety you were feeling before and your presence here today, this early morning. We're meeting very early in the morning, by the way. And you're just beaming with happiness as you talk about your wife. The happiness is radiating from you. So do you ever think about how it was? What's the instrumentation of putting the two of you together? I mean, think of what are the odds? You were at a point, she was at the same point, at the same time. You're involved in the same. You get the same sort of app or whatever, and I don't know how that works, but it allowed you to meet in person.
Yeah, yeah.
It,
I thank God every day for her. She's been the biggest blessing in my life, and just very fortunate to have met her and to do life with her now. Um, as far as being heaven sent, or I think it's her father, she thinks it's her father, we don't, I don't know, maybe it's God, maybe it's whoever it is. Thank you.
well, I know the feeling. It wasn't me. I'm not in charge, and I didn't decide how I ended up and where I am. But I can take what I've got. I can use it. I can thank God, as you said, for what I have and the way that He has blessed me over the years, and become willing every day, to be grateful, first of all, and secondly, to use what He's given me, whatever it happens to be. I had the oddest sense one time that I had been misunderstanding all the things that had gone on in my life. I thought that certain things were bad and certain things were good. And it turns out sometimes it's just the opposite. Things that I thought were great that are happening turn out to be not so good, and the things that were, oh, that's terrible, turn out to be, that was an awesome, powerful moment. Moved me closer, because ultimately my happiness rests in God, right?
Yeah.
So Saint Augustine used to say, said, our hearts are restless until they rest in Thee, O God. Until I had that God-centeredness in my life squared away, all the rest was just smoke and mirrors. But now
Yeah.
I get the real deal. Sounds like you do too. It was wonderful to have a chance to catch up with Mark. It's been a while, as you can tell, but we're really blessed by this ability to talk with each other honestly about how God is interacting with our lives and how He has been intersecting with our lives for a long time, even when we may not have been aware of the extent to which He was interested in us. Mark and I have both discovered in our various times over our lives that our God has a design for us. He has a plan for us, and He's going to not only equip us for the plan, but sustain us. He's going to continue to give us everything we need to accomplish His end. And He doesn't ever abandon us. He's always with us, but we have to reach out to Him. We have to be willing to go to do His purpose rather than our own. And when we do, we find all kinds of miraculous things happening in our lives all kinds of wonderful stuff. And Mark and I have a great remembrance of the ways that he's been good and gracious to us. So I hope you enjoyed our conversation today, and I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel so you can see the regular weekly drops of new interviews. I've got a bunch of people lined up, some of whom you may know actually. Um, and I hope that you stay with us. Hit the like button, tell your friends, and take a link and put it on your social media so other people can see too. I look forward to seeing you next time on the Dismas Diaries. Until then, may God bless you.